Ximena was just saying that it's hard to be an expert on NFTs and blockchain and these things when you're not from that space, and it's been like I think an education for everyone here. It's been the word of the week, right? Is NFT, if not sustainability. So in this panel, I'm really excited to have Pablo and Refik here. Maybe you can just start off by explaining who you guys are and what you do.
Sure, I'll try to be a little bit brief, but I'm Pablo. I've been involved in the blockchain space now for several years, and in particular in the NFT space, where I was an early adopter, both through digital land and through the collection. I've been helping and being alongside creatives for the last several years now in helping them with everything outside of the creative process. And together with my wife, we have what is widely considered as one of the most significant digital art collections in the world. And aside from that, we're working together with Ximena and with Refik in launching some infrastructure so that everybody can participate in the space, and so we can recognize fine digital art through the use of this new medium and technology.
And I'm Refik. I'm a media artist, director, and one of the wonderful collectors and one of the curators next to me and the patrons of the art world. And I'm practicing with data and AI. I think 13 years ago started, and 10 years of data and last 5 years AI. I'm not alone. I have a team of wonderful team at Los Angeles. We are 14 people, can speak 14 languages, represent 10 countries in a small space where we imagine the future narratives of architecture, public art, data paintings and sculptures. Practicing in NFT space close to like 1.5 years. Many friends and colleagues, and I'm trying my very best to create public art, first of all, that is for anyone, any age and any background. And I'm really grateful to connect for one of the most, I think, inspiring work here in Miami at Fiana. That is, I think, hard to miss. Great to be here in Miami for this project.
And if you're not following Refik on Instagram, it's a must follow. Refik. His artworks are mind-bending, so I highly suggest it. And then for those of us that were not here yesterday, Ximena was also on a panel yesterday. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ximena Caminos. I'm here today super happy because the work that Nate just referred to is a collaboration between Refik and Aorist, which is a platform that we just launched that Pablo founded. I have the privilege of being invited to be a co-founder, and it's a very interesting work inspired in a project I love a lot that is very relevant to Miami, which is called the Reef Line. It's an underwater marine sanctuary sculpture reef that runs parallel to the shore, starting at north of 4th until more or less Bal Harbor, so it's 7 miles. And it's made of sculptures, which are modules, which are real artificial reefs composed of a very interesting new material, which is ocean-friendly concrete with carbon nitrate that helps corals evolve. And we made the Reef Line and Aorist, which is a platform that we introduced this week, which is a climate-forward NFT marketplace, so digital art marketplace, invited and commissioned Refik to be inspired in our shorelines, and he very generously offered to a benefit auction to support our fragile ecosystems. So not only the work is really, really beautiful, but it's also having an amazing impact in what we consider all the endangered species that are here in Miami. So it's an honor to be sitting here.
And I think that's a good place to start, is Aorist. I think one of the things that has become more and more the things that we're learning about, I guess, NFTs and crypto as it gets into the public's consciousness is how much energy use it takes to mine crypto, to mint an NFT. I think there was a headline recently that the artist Grimes minted an NFT, and the minting of the NFT took as much energy as a person in the EU uses in 33 years. So that's obviously not sustainable. And what's great about Aorist is it is a new marketplace that is focused on being eco-conscious and eco-forward. So, Pablo, why don't you explain how you're making it
Certainly.
eco-conscious?
And I'll comment a little bit on that because it is true that as an industry as a whole, the NFT ecosystem has some problems with sustainability. A big problem with sustainability, and that's something that as an industry we certainly need to be better at. However, I would like to point out that this has been wrongly attributed to the artists and their work on that. And in my opinion, it is something that the platforms, the general ecosystem, the infrastructure around should really be helping so that artists can participate in this amazing new creative economy while at the same time not hurting the environment. So what we try to do is, from our end, is to create a platform that is built on a different blockchain that is not Ethereum. It's called Algorand. It's a very fast, scalable, cheap, and very environmentally friendly. They have a big pledge to be the greenest blockchain in the space. And in our platform, what we're doing on top of that is that we're automatically purchasing carbon credits with every transaction that happens in the platform, so that we offset the minimal amounts of carbon emissions that we produce with the minting of our of the works. And again, I think this is something that has been in the mind of a lot of the artists, a lot of the collectors as well. I think that as an industry, we all want to help in making this more sustainable and more participative for everybody. And we're just putting here the path that we think is the best to have a sustainable on both fronts, on the market front and on the minting front for all the creatives to really showcase their work. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you said that because it's definitely not. It needs to be pointed out that it's not the artist's fault. It's just the platform that's available to sell their work on. And NFTs are so exciting and the blockchain is so exciting because it's just a giant opportunity, not just for digital artists but for all artists, to sell their work, to have provenance, to be a part of every sale going forward because it's worked into the contract on the blockchain, no matter what happens after they sell it for the first time. So I think it's really exciting. And Refik, maybe talk about it from an artist's point of view of I know that you're involved with Aorist and what artists are doing or should be doing to kind of make sure that they're engaging in a sustainable way.
Yeah, I think just specifically for this collaboration, there's three inspiring things that is very different than my other experiments. First of all, like any artist, there's this reaction to like natural impact, of course, how the distribution happens, how the wealth, how equally everyone in the world can have a part of an artist's journey. That's a very big challenge, right? I don't think before the NFTs, some artists were maybe some models, some galleries or whatever, but I don't think it was easy for artists to communicate how to share their journey directly, one-on-one, open and direct and honest and transparent. So number one, what I'm extremely enjoying in this collaboration is, first of all, it's accessible. Accessibility is a keyword that is hard to find because in the early days of NFTs, we saw like remarkable numbers, like impossibly reached levels of like experiences versus right now, pretty much there's a community drop, which is literally designed for community to become a part of it. That's, I think, very inspiring. And second, of course, the ecological impact. I get personally also attacked by, very close friends saying like, acting me like I'm a coal mine CEO. I am not. I'm not here for destroy this beautiful nature, and none of the creators at all. So the language was wrong and like misleaded. But what is amazing about Aorist is taking that very seriously. And Algorand, which is another like inspiring thing, is the chief behind this network, Silvio, and his vision when I met with Pablo and him. Just remarkable. These are scientists designing the future of like distribution and collaborating as a creator with the person who has the vision of creating this technology. When that happens, I think the magic is different. Not just another like a credit card. It's beyond that. It's a canvas for creators. And the third thing is a type of collaboration. So literally we generate a public art, first of all, which is very important, not anymore on a browser or like a cell phone. It's an experience in physical world you can go and feel and touch. So I think it's very important to say that NFTs has to go beyond just beautiful JPEGs or MOVs or whatever's. They have to be, I think, a part of our life. And that's one of the reasons this Aorist collaboration at Fine Art is remarkably pointing out that urgently, as Hans Lori says, ecologically friendly, supporting the nature, aware of the distribution model, and being a part of everyone inclusively. I think this is a dream all like cycle for many artists, I hope.
Agreed. Ximena, yesterday you were talking about how between the Reef Line, which is underwater, the Underline, which is your public art green space project, beneath the Metro Rail here in Miami, and then we have the High Line that we had water, land, and in the air all covered, and now we have the digital for you. How did you get involved, or why did you want to get involved with this project with Aorist, and get into this space? Why did you think it was important?
One of the reasons Refik just named, and it's like the power it has to really reach larger audiences, like the blockchain in general, and like the crowd space, and how it could impact like decarbonization of the planet. But the truth is, I went to a talk that Pablo and Desiree gave at Final Rose about their collection, and I was so mesmerized. They were speaking about their space in the metaverse, and I thought, I have to make a Reef Line in the metaverse and sell modules to these people. And then with that money, I'll build the real modules in the physical world. That's how it all started. So when the talk finished, I approached them and said, can we make a Reef Line in the metaverse? And Pablo said, like, I love the idea, but I don't think the technology is there yet. But there's really nothing underwater yet, So I think we should. We'll probably do it. But that's how it all started. So for me, it was more like being a hacker. And how can I hack this crypto space and make it impact our real world? And I think that's the beauty of, like, if you become the bridge of those two and you use it properly, you become a sort of Robin Hood, which is an interesting concept because, we need to hack the system right now.
And Pablo, what do you think the biggest hurdles are to making this space, really sustainable? Is it getting more artists to adopt eco-friendly blockchains? Is it getting consumers to buy art off eco-friendly blockchains? Is there some kind of innovation that still needs to happen? What are some of the challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reality is that right now we just need to, as an industry, improve the infrastructure. There are some blockchains and some platforms, applications within those blockchains that are really starting to make some big strides to make this happen. Up until now, unfortunately, we're just not available. And again, this is we're in inning number one of this ecosystem being built, and we're helping. I do think that developers are a little bit sticky, and Ethereum, has really taking a lot of people. Network effects really do work, but I do think that when people start experimenting these other proof-of-stake platforms, users are seeing the user experience and the sustainable component of it, and they're realizing that this is possible, that this is here, and I personally think that we're going to see a lot of movement outside of the Ethereum ecosystem to other proof-of-stake chains. We're going to a multi-chain world. I don't want to get too technical for the audience, but we're going to a multi-chain world where people will have, artists and collectors will have the ability to choose which platforms in which to participate, and of course many of them, the majority of them, with significant improvements over the Ethereum ecosystem.
Refik, from the artist perspective, the same question. What are the biggest challenges to moving forward in a sustainable way?
I think to me, what is, again, looking at the very positive impact of what we did, I think, last couple of days ago, and hearing and reading people's message personally, to be honest, as a data artist, the best data you can get is someone's feelings and emotions. And I think I hope artist is touching someone's mind and soul is one of the most divine moments of art. And I think that's kind of the challenge of many artists, I believe, how to achieve that moment of time and space that you are feeling connected with the piece, right? So I think facilitating NFTs or platforms will be, I hope, these inspiring spaces. I don't know how many Ximena's amazing ideas or Pablo's structures can work together. To me, it's a that dream combination. So I'm extremely proud and very grateful for everyone included as a team. It's a lot of work, by the way. Maybe from a farther away, it's a website, or it's beyond that. It's a lot of work and a lot of programming in physical and virtual space. So deeply grateful for the organization. The second sustainable challenge I'm seeing is, of course, collector and the artist relationship. So let's also remember that, first of all, I'm grateful to Pablo personally. Since day one, I was in the space, way before that. There was probably nobody knows about NFTs properly. We have been discussing personally about the discourse, context, art. Same as these are beautiful communications that are not normally done in a classical art world, right? Or Ximena's ideas that are not fitting into the world of, let's say, classical art world. These are unlocking potential of imagination. And finally, the community. This keyword is so much used in NFTs. I know it's maybe too much used, but it's very true. It's very honest. Like, you are engaging with so many people at the same time across multiple time zones and latitudes and longitude. Like, literally, you are in the metaverse of communication. So this unlocking all these items are the key, I guess. Sustainability, of course, starts with the idea and then the platform and the execution. And when they all align together, we see a pure success and purpose.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree that technology is really, really exciting. So it's, and I think everyone's kind of aligned on moving it toward a more sustainable path, so that we can, experience the innovations that are going to happen. Like you said, it's the first inning, and it's. If you think it's crazy now, it's going to get even further down the rabbit hole in the coming years. I wanted to open up for Q&A. If anyone had a question they would like to ask.
So the NFT space, to most, including myself, is a bit intimidating just because of, the lack of full understanding and knowledge. How would you best advise people to educate themselves and learn more about NFTs, as this is really, the next big wave?
Yeah, great question. Great question. If you don't mind, I might take this one. The reality is that right now it is intimidating, and I didn't want to touch too much about this because, again, outside of the sustainability that we're trying to improve, we do have a user experience to improve as well. The reality is that for not blockchain technical people, it's very difficult to search, to operate, to look, to participate. It's sometimes a little bit expensive, sometimes a bit slow. So what I would say is, just in general, there's no free lunch in life. If you want to really participate and understand what's happening, you need to put the work. You need to put you need to look inside. You need to be part of the community. You need to participate in the discourse, in Twitter, in social media. You need to ask people. The great thing about this ecosystem is that everybody is extraordinarily collaborative. I think you'll never see any industry where this is the case. The community is really, really strong, and they will open up. And then I would say that, again, little by little, more focused platforms are coming into the space that will allow you to look into a place where things are curated. I would recommend you look into Aorist. I think that you will see some things that are related to art there that are good. But overall, I do think that there's a role for platforms to be doing a little bit of that filtering as well for the work. That's another of the issues that we need to be improving overall. Yeah. But put the time, go in social media and communicate. I promise any question that you ask out there, I promise people are willing to answer them all the time. We're very, very, very open community.
That's true. Every single person I've met this week that's in the NFT space has been like some of the nicest people and more than willing to walk you through it and talk you through it and kind of give you the NFT for dummies explanation. Any other questions?
Hi, Refik, this one's for you. I'm an artist and I do a lot of digital paintings, but I still feel like there's this collaboration that I'm lacking when it comes to putting it into the NFT world. So what would you suggest as far as taking steps in that direction so that I can participate?
I think it's a totally, fundamental step sounds, but it's interesting that social media, if you think about digital ideas, like a data or beautiful your pieces or anything that in digital native universe, I think the distribution models are very similar, like social media, personal moments, and a community around yourself and the digital space. I found myself much more quickly adapt my work to the community by directly engaging and directly sharing. Platforms like Aorist and upcoming, ideas and curation is one of the most amazing moments that helps a lot to boost the, sharing moment. But I think from a creator perspective, instead of giving to the system or the ideation feels so correct or somehow ethically right, that gives back to you in a very honest and direct way. I don't know how to explain this, but sharing your work basically direct to the community and directly sharing your dreams and memories and about your pieces. I found people extremely happy create a new, like a literally, like a fire around the piece, like a community around the piece and the ideas. And I'm pretty positive that there are people very supportive in the space, as you mentioned, very receptive, very positive and engaging. I found always positive words around many things instead of like criticizing and making deconstructive like feedbacks. I found always positive criticism and sharing. So if you, I think, become a part of that ecosystem, very naturally allows a grow a new culture. And when you're a part of that culture, it naturally grows and becomes this new ecosystem of art and creation.
Engaging and discipline, I would also say, make sure if you're coming to the space, make sure that when you come with the project that you come, the project is there. I would say, don't go into OpenSea and just release our work just to test. Don't do these things. You try to focus on saying, on making your project, the one that you have in mind that you want to bring together, make sure that it's properly presented in the right place. That would be, I wouldn't have such a rush. I would be disciplined in trying to achieve that as well.
And one more space, sorry, about Discord. I know it's a very weird location maybe for gamers and many people. For me as a nerd, like playing in the games, and like it was so a place where I know the community is, but finding the communities you are like connecting with is very inspiringly exciting. Like going between like Discord channels, servers, finding how people are communicate is really very inspiring. And maybe more inspiring than just a boring social media engagements. Like because you can find people there honestly and directly. It's really very fun.
That's the other thing I've been hearing a lot this week is Discord is a great place to go for that. Great. Well, I think before we wrap up here, first of all, I'd just like to thank Ximena, Refik, and Pablo so much for being here. You guys were amazing, and I'd want to thank Nespresso as well, our awesome brand partner. Oh, do you have a question? Yeah, we have one more.
With this amazing initiative, putting Miami on the map, putting sustainability on the map, please more of this. Thank you. And to hear you talk is really meaningful. What is next? What do we have in mind here that is popping? Where can we riff off?
In Miami?
Together, yeah. What's going on? Ximena, specifically with this new project and what you have in mind with sustainability. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Sure. I'll first ask you, what do you think is going on?
Opportunities.
Okay.
A lot of opportunities. Creativity, coming together, cross-pollinating. The butterflies are coming back. Dreaming out loud. Making it happen. Emotions and feelings, data, showing, inspiring, and informing. And art is an amazing vehicle. I would love to hear more from you guys.
Yeah, you said it. I think it's cross-disciplinary collaboration in a not decentralized way, but as decentralized as possible. In my case, with the Reef Line, I didn't want to engage with any institution or person or government that could direct our intentions. And that's why I reached out to Pablo and Desi. I was interested in the decentralized way of doing things, which is more organic. Particularly the Reef Line, I think, is an example of how we humans are resilient and creative, and how through art, creativity, and resiliency we can solve big problems and then show proof that big things can be done in very beautiful and creative ways. I think it's a very sexy project that attracts a lot of people from all over the world and all sorts of people, and it's challenging because the exhibition we created here with Aorist, it's called Crossroads, and it's the intersection of art, tech, and science. And this is where we live, in a world, it's science of complexity, and we're blessed to be witnessing this. And I think that there are places where we will all naturally converge, and those points are the points that are going to lead us forward as a species.
And maybe what I can say is like our literally collaboration was in a WhatsApp, like literally, like the words coming from Ximena and Pablo, like imagining about Reef Line and like the meaning of like nature and why it's important. So I think it's really decentralized imagination. Like this is very inspiring, right? But the hope was super simple. Like how can we use this collaboration for a purpose that is not in an egocentric artwork, but something beyond that, right? That was a very clear direction. But what was emotional was, how can we use collective memories of nature, like 100 millions of beautiful reef line and like beautiful creatures underwater, and turn them into a truly an artificial coral that one day can go back to the water to create an ecosystem through the lens of NFT ecosystem. I mean, these are like, I think the future forward imagination and collaboration methods. So like this, I am sure many people will be hopefully inspired and create similar ideas. And then I think we are in a very wonderful, hopeful future.
I just have one more thing to add. Thank you guys for sharing this information. It's, like she said, so valuable. And I'm wondering, is the concrete that the coral is going to live on in the reef line, is that there now, or it will be soon?
So right now it's being tested in It's really interesting. There's only 2 machines in the world that can simulate a 500 in a year. A 1 in a 500, I'm sorry, I'm a little dyslexic. A 1 in a 500-year storm, so a category 5 hurricane. So we built the models, 22 car models. The first deployment is Leandro Ehrlich, the sand traffic jam that was presented 2 Art Basels ago.
Yes.
In the Lummus Park. And we are giving it an afterlife by deploying them on the ocean. So the concrete is not in the ocean right now, it's in the tank, because we need to test a lot of things. Stability, imagine like the
So
things
that's
that
also
could go
really
wrong.
inspiring, because the coral, now we have to wait to see what nature is going to do with what your idea is.
Well,
and that's
actu-
exciting to see, I
There are
think.
20 reefs already down there. They're not artistic. They're just like concrete bulksters. They were put there because they were needed, because the drenching of the port created an absolute chaos. So there is proof that it's totally successful as a marine sanctuary, and the corals, not so much the corals, not all sorts of corals, not the endangered species of corals, but marine life in general. Like, it's a public housing of the ocean are the reefs, you know? And the fish are starting to, you know, as the reefs die, the fish, they are exposed, and then there are predators, and it really disrupts the whole ecosystem. So we need that public housing for our fisheries. And the concrete is a special mix of a very environmentally friendly calcium nitrate that helps them grow faster, because the reef in Florida is the 3rd largest in the world, and it's the one that's dying at a faster case and rate. And coral science is pretty new, you know, it's only like 20 years, and there are things still being discovered. One thing I want to say before we finish is that the supercorals exist. So there are 4 or 5 species of supercorals that we don't know why they don't die, and they're like 30 years old already, eating the bacteria that kills the other corals. And they're here in the Miami port, and those we should study. But they're hybrids, so they don't have babies, because corals are hermaphrodites, but they're animals, you know, they're not plants. And they spawn once a year when the moon and the sun align, and they're very interesting creatures. So no one knows how these supercorals came about, but they're there and they're thriving. So we're now, is studying them to see if they can actually learn something from them to be able to, you know, apply it to the other corals, which are much more, they're weaker.
Thank you. I can't wait to get my snorkel.
You're welcome.
Me too.
Follow Coral Morphologic in Instagram. Coral Morphologic. They discovered the supercorals.
I'm very excited for it to open as well. Okay, so that's going to be it. But just before we leave, I wanted to thank Nespresso so much. They've been such a great brand partner throughout this experience, and for giving us this platform to talk about these incredibly important issues at an incredibly important time. At an event like Art Basel has just been an amazing opportunity, and I think they've been really rewarding conversations. And I know that Vince just wanted to say a final thing before we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to also just say thank you to Refik and to Ximena, but in particular to Refik, because he has been amazing both working with him to realize this. Not only he's the most inspiring artist that I know, but he's also the easiest person to work with, the kindest human being, and also he has been very, very, very helpful with the Reef Line. And he has contributed a lot from his side to add to the project. So thank you on behalf of the Reef Line, because it has been really fantastic to have you alongside you.
All together, thank you.
And thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you, Surface. Thank you, panelists.